What if Liberation Day wasn't just about tariffs, but the opening shot of a dollar war stretching from Caracas to the Lithium Triangle? What if April the 2nd, 2025 wasn't random, but the day Washington began executing what would later be called the Donroe Doctrine? By the end, you will have 3 tools to decode the next headline as a move in the dollar war, not just another Trump tweet. Let's go. April the 2nd, 2025, Trump announces Liberation Day, a baseline 10% tariff on virtually all imports, higher reciprocal rates for selected countries. Within weeks, Mexico starts drafting legislation to slap tariffs up to 50% on Chinese goods, not because they hate China, but because Washington makes it clear. If you let Beijing use you as a backdoor, you pay the price. That's not trade policy, that's coercion. Liberation Day is the economic shock that forces every government in the hemisphere to ask, can we still hedge between Washington and Beijing, or is neutrality over? 6 months later, October 2025, the neocon-oriented Hudson Institute publishes a memo titled How to Counter BRICS and Preserve Global Dollar Dominance. Buried in the footnotes is the quote that matters. Trump told his cabinet in July, BRICS was set up to hurt us, to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar off as a standard. The logic is surgical. America's global power rests on 2 things, the dollar and SWIFT. SWIFT connects almost every bank on earth. It gives Washington visibility into financial flows, who's paying who, for what, in what currency. But BRICS is building workarounds. The new development bank, China's CHIPS payment system, bilateral currency swaps. The memo warns, these aren't just experiments. They are the foundation of a parallel order. Hudson's recommendation is blunt. Prohibit dual participation. Any bank that plugs into a BRICS-style clearing system should lose access to both SWIFT and dollar transactions. You can clear yuan through CHIPS, or you can clear dollars through New York, not both. Tool number 1. When you see tariffs, sanctions, or financial regulations, don't ask, is this legal? Ask, which payment rail is this trying to control? Now let's talk hardware. China's trade with Latin America exploded from around $12 billion in 2000 to over $500 billion by 2024. That's a 40 times increase in 24 years. China is now the top trading partner for Brazil, Chile, Peru, Uruguay, Argentina. But it is not just trade, it's infrastructure. November 2024, China opens the Port of Chancay in Peru, a $3.5 billion deep-water megaport majority owned by COSCO. A voyage from Shanghai to South America that used to take 35 days now takes 23. Costs drop 20%. In Brazil, China's state grid has invested $12.5 billion in the power sector, ultra-high voltage transmission lines stretching 2,000 kilometers. In 2025, State Grid wins a $3.6 billion contract to build another 1,500 kilometers of power lines. They are planning 40 billion more by 2030. And then there is lithium. Bolivia, Argentina, Chile, the Lithium Triangle holds 60% of global reserves. Bolivia alone has double Chile's reserves. Until recently, Bolivia's state lithium company had billion-dollar deals with China's cattle and with Russia's uranium one. That's the physical foundation for a non-dollar future. Ports where yuan settle trade bypasses US-influenced choke points. Power grids whose control layers sit in Chinese systems. Lithium mines locked into BRICS-centric pricing. Tool number 2. Map hardware to software. Every port, every line or mine isn't just infrastructure. It's potential plumbing for future finance. Ask, what currency will clear through this? Whose banks? Whose rules? Now we get to the Donroe Doctrine itself. November-December 2025, the new national security strategy drops. It devotes 5 pages specifically to Latin America, more than Europe, more than Asia. It explicitly identifies non-hemispheric competitors as existential threats. That's China, Russia, Iran. The document states America will use leverage in finance and technology to induce countries to reject what it calls low-cost foreign assistance, meaning Chinese investment. The doctrine expands the Monroe map from the Aleutian Islands to Greenland, down through the Caribbean and Central America, all the way to Antarctica. Secretary of State Marco Rubio flies to Panama within weeks, delivers an ultimatum: reduce Chinese influence over the canal or face American measures. Panama gets the message. Hutchison Holdings, the Hong Kong company operating ports at both ends of the canal, starts selling those assets to a BlackRock-led American consortium. Panama withdraws from China's Belt and Road Initiative. Bolivia, new President Rodrigo Paz, elected late 2025. He immediately terminates lithium contracts with China and Russia. And Washington opens IMF credit lines, Inter-American Development Bank financing, technology transfers. That's weapon number 2, the carrot and stick. Argentina under Javier Milei becomes Trump's closest regional ally. He's the only regional leader who refuses to sign a select statement defending Panamanian sovereignty. The hemisphere is being sorted: allies and adversaries, dollar or yuan. Then comes Venezuela, January the 3rd, 2026, 2:01 a.m. American helicopters touch down at a military compound in Caracas. Within just 30 minutes, Nicolás Maduro is in handcuffs, flown to a U.S. aircraft carrier, heading for Manhattan to face narco-terrorism charges. The official story is drugs. The strategic story is China. Remove Maduro and you send a message: even if you build BRICS rails, we will still use hard power to keep key producers inside our orbit. Tool number 3, watch the hedgers. Countries trying to play both sides: Mexico, Panama, Brazil, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia are where doctrine meets reality. Mexico is the front line, America's largest trading partner. The USMCA is up for renegotiation in 2026. Trump demands not just trade concessions, but security cooperation that amounts to American operational control over Mexican territory. If Mexico doesn't comply, Trump threatens to designate cartels as terrorist organizations. That would give U.S. military legal authority to conduct operations inside Mexico with or without Mexican consent. Brazil is different, world's 9th largest economy. Lula has made clear he won't choose sides. He is a founding BRICS member. At the May 2025 China SALC Summit, Lula stands beside Xi Jinping, announcing $3 billion in new Chinese renewable energy investment. The Trump administration initially slaps 40% tariffs on Brazilian agricultural exports. They are partially rolled back later, but the threat demonstrates the leverage America holds. So let's connect the timeline. April 2025, Liberation Day sets the economic trap. July 2025, Trump signs the Genius Act, regulating stablecoins to prevent sanctions evasion through digital channels. October 2025, Hudson Memo codifies the logic: defend the dollar, defend SWIFT, block dual participation, pressure BRICS hedgers. December 2025, National Security Strategy formalizes the Donroe Doctrine, Hemispheric primacy, Chinese infrastructure as threat, force on the table. The 3rd of January 2026, Maduro raid shows the doctrine in action. You are watching a doctrine being built in real time. First, the economic weapon, then the legal framework, then the intellectual architecture, then the geopolitical map, then the kinetic execution. Each layer reinforces the next. So here is what stays with me. The Donroe Doctrine is a new imperialism dressed up as a security policy. It's something older and more structural. The moment when a hegemon realizes the map under its feet is changing, ports it doesn't control, currencies it doesn't clear, allies who hedge. And the response isn't negotiation, it's reordering by tariff, by memo, by helicopter. The question I am sitting with, and maybe you should too, is this: can you actually rewind globalization by force? Can you unbuild Chancay, unwire state grid, unsign lithium deals by threatening enough governments? Or does pressure just accelerate the thing you are trying to prevent? Push the hedges into coalitions, turn the neutrals into adversaries, make BRICS look like the only exit? History is full of empires that tried to stop the future by tightening the grip. Some succeeded for a generation, others just made the transition faster and messier. Right now, we don't know which story this is yet. We only know the script has been written, the doctrine has been named, and the first moves are already on the board. So take a minute. Think about where your country sits on this map. Are you inside the Donroe perimeter or outside it? Are you a hedger Washington will discipline, or an ally it will reward? And most importantly, when the next headline drops, another tariff, another operation, another security partnership, will you see it for what it is? A move in the dollar war, not just another news cycle. Thanks for watching.